Welcome back to another episode of On the Mic. We have another incredible episode lined up for today. But first, today's episode is brought to you by Joe Burns Rods. Call Joe at 423-618-9499 about Joe Burns Custom Rods and have him build you the best custom rod that you could put in your hands that you could hang a bait off the end of. Again, that is 423-618-9499. Have Joe build you the best custom rod. Rods built one at a time by Joe Burns Custom Rods. And Fishtails Bait and Tackle, your number one shop, a one-stop shop right here in the East Tennessee area for your bait and tackle needs. They are located at 5008 Georgetown Road right here in Cleveland, Tennessee. If you're in the area, make sure to check Fishtails Bait and Tackle out. Plus, they also have a huge selection of Joe Burns Custom Rods in stock as well. You know, that's right. We have one heck of a show lined up for tonight. Joining us on the mic he is a legend, a true legend in the bass fishing community, an icon in the sport that we love so much. But joining us on the mic today is Shaw Grigsby is going to be joining us on the show. So we have a whole bunch of stuff to talk about with Shaw. So without further ado, let's jump right in to this week's episode of On the Mic with our guest this week, Shaw Grigsby. We are on the mic with Bass Fishing Hall of Famer Shaw Grigsby. Man, Shaw, what is going on, my man, and how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Weather's beautiful, and I'm actually packing up, and I'm getting ready to hit the road for a day or two and go have some fun out in Texas.
There you go. Man, if the weather's beautiful in Florida, man, you need to send some of that nice sunshine, Florida sunshine up here. We have, up here in East Tennessee, we have been raining. It has been raining for the past, I think, 4 days now, and
Wow.
It hasn't stopped. And but we do need it. We do need the rain, but it could give us a break a little bit. Be nice to get on the water with some sunshine going on up here versus having to bring the rain gear out and everything like that. But
Yeah.
we're going to get the ball rolling on this, Shaw. I want to go all the way back to 1977.
That's a long way.
That is a long way, man. In 1977, you fished your first national tournament. Now, that was actually before you actually became a professional bass angler. You fished your first national tournament. Do you remember much about that tournament, and how did that go for you, and how did that come about, fishing that event?
Yeah, I just graduated from high school back in '74, so I was 3 years out. I was going to the University of Florida and fishing a lot. I mean, a lot. And BASS scheduled a tournament at the St. Johns River, which is only about an hour from the house. And, I'm just loving bass fishing. I'm like, and bass is cool as heck because you got Bill Dance, you got lenders were fishing back then, you got all these, superstars that I'd read about in Bassmaster, and I said, hey, I want to just go see what it's like. So I put in for it, and I think the entry fee was like $325, and I finished 28th. I think I made $625, I think, and man, when you basically just about double your money and you had fun doing it,
Yeah.
I was hooked.
Yeah.
The weather was tough, the fishing was tough, but yeah, I made a check, and I'm like, wow, here we go.
Man, I guess that kind of hooked you for good, and made you want to strive for making the Elite Series, man. But that's pretty awesome. 28th place in your first ever national tournament right out of high school.
Yeah, pretty cool.
And here's a quick fun fact. I'm sure some of our viewers might know this, but there's probably a lot that don't. But how does a former motorcycle racer become a full-time professional bass angler on the Bassmaster Tournament Trophy? But before you were a fisherman, you were actually a motorcycle racer, dude. in today's world of fishing, there's actually been a few that have taken that leap from motorcycle racing, trying to go as fast as they can on a motorcycle to trying to go as fast as they can to get to a spot quick as they can in a bass boat. But the first couple names that come to mind is a Shryox, Fletcher, and Hunter.
Absolutely.
And
right.
but so there's actually been a few. There's a couple more that I can't name right off the bat, but that have taken that road as well. But how does that happen, man?
Well, I was just doing it for fun. So it was just something that we were running cycles around. I had a little 100cc Super Rat and a Hodaka.
Yeah.
And I was just running around, out in the woods and having fun. And then, then you do a race on a weekend and then you're just playing. So I never did it professionally. I never did it where I was really good. In fact, I pretty much sucked. so in that sense, it was one that, it was a natural thing to get out of it, but I mean, I kept my bike for years. And even when I got into my, mid to late 20s, actually, I guess I was probably into my 30s before I finally got rid of it. But I just always had fun just, racing through the trees and having fun on the bike. But, it did help me in the tournaments because, and that really was one of the stepping stones there. The first real tournament I fished, I got asked to fish with a buddy of mine, and it was a buddy tournament, so, you chose your partner, and he asked me to fish with him. I said, great. And when we took off, they did the whole blast off, so they lined all the boats up in a single line and fired a flare. And instead of following the boats, I was, because I'm used to racing, I was telling my buddy we were in his boat, and I was telling him, don't follow them, just go straight to the point, make it the shortest distance to that point, and then throw it into the corner and keep going. And man, the first point we hit, we cut 30 boats off. The next one, we probably cut another 20 boats off. And when I got to the locks, we were down at Kissimmee Chain, and I got to the locks going into Toho, and I was shaking. I was going, this is the greatest thing ever, because you had boat racing and you had fishing.
Yeah.
So that kind of led me to the tournaments. And so that was really a neat deal, that helped me out. It still gets me when I watch guys in the tournaments and we're following each other with the single file takeoff that you'll be running a river or something and they're just running way on over here, way on. I'm like, dude, there's a point. Go straight to it.
Yeah, shortest distance is always a straight line.
It drives me nuts to watch these guys because they're running hard, but they ain't running straight.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
Yeah, I asked Fletcher a couple seasons ago, going into it, I think 2 seasons ago, I was talking to him about his motorcycle racing and then jumping into bass as a professional bass angler. And the question came up, did you ever get injured on a motorcycle while you were racing? He says, nah, he says, I kind of gave up motorcycle racing because it was too dangerous. And he said, I didn't have to have my first operation or surgery till I got injured on a big body of water hitting a wave wrong and had to have back surgery going into that upcoming season. So I'm like, okay. So he gives up motorcycle racing to go to bass fishing because it's a little bit safer, but you still have the competition end of it. And he has to have his first surgery because he got injured driving a bass boat around. So I thought that was pretty funny. In 2017, man, you got inducted into the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame. How cool is that, man? To get inducted into a Hall of Fame where, at that point you were a legend in the sport already, but to get inducted into the Hall of Fame, that just kind of solidified your, work that you put in over your entire career to that point. What did that mean to you, man, to get inducted? And that must have been a really cool deal.
It was. I mean, it definitely, it's the biggest thing that really can happen to you in fishing is, because it's not a one time, it's a So that's
Yeah.
something that my grandkids can look at, my great grands, and anybody walking through there that's a friend can remember and see. And it's also those are all the guys that pioneered the sport, that built the sport, that did
Yeah.
things special in the sport, and so yeah, it's a huge honor, huge honor.
Yeah. That was really cool, man. Um, you know, we have a lot of real young, really good anglers coming up in the sport today. The Trey McKinneys, the T.J. Tompkins, and the list goes on and on and on. Um, but what is the best piece of advice that you could give the upcoming anglers that we have coming in the sport, whether they've already made it to the big stage or they're inspiring to make it to the big stage? What is the best piece of advice that you could give these up and coming anglers?
I think being respectful is one of the biggest, pieces of advice, and that's to your sponsors and to the fans, and the sport. Those things are very important. Most people just, especially when you're young, you're just thinking about yourself, and you don't think of the repercussions of things.
Yeah.
And so, the more respectful you can be, not only to the sport, but to the fans and the
Yeah.
sponsors is important. I think a lot of times, too, our younger people seem to think that, because they're pretty good fishermen, that they deserve everything, and there's nothing in life that you deserve.
Yeah.
You have to work to get it, and you know that. I mean, you're
No.
working every day trying to,
Yeah.
just like you talk about, Charlie Evans. Just going and working every day.
Yeah.
You don't deserve it. You work for it,
Yes.
and the harder you work, the better your rewards. And so, really, just when I got into it, and every sponsor I talked to, it was like I didn't ask for give me. I was like, let me show you what I can do, and if you like it, then we'll get something going, and then that way it worked. So those are probably the best. Fish your heart out, fish hard, learn, and be respectful. You're respectful, you'll go a long way in the future in your future, your personal future.
Yeah. That's great. That is a great piece of advice there, Sean. And we have so many up and coming anglers coming into the sport today, and young junior anglers as well. So if especially the junior anglers that they all want to get product from companies, but it's not about what never go into it saying what are you going to do for me. You always want to start off, what can I do for you?
Exactly.
And there's too many
Exactly.
young anglers, they're just trying to get stuff. Don't ever go into it with that mindset. Go into it with the mindset of what could I do for you, and then the accolades will come your way after that.
Yeah. Yeah.
For 21 years, and myself, growing up in Florida as a young aspiring angler back in the mid 90s, one of the things I look so much forward to every week was watching One More Cast with Shaw Grigsby. For 21 years, man, you've done the TV show. And we've talked before about your TV show and how TV has changed today versus back then. You had mentioned a couple times to me that back then there was cables running all over the boat. You trip over cables. Everything's wireless today. But how has television with fishing shows evolved from then, and how did you get started with One More Cast back then?
Yeah. How I got started was just we were doing event programming. So just a particular event, like we would do a show called Bass and Golf, where we
Yeah.
worked with the golfers and we got to fish with them and golf with them, and made a TV show. And then we did a bass and race where we did it with the NASCAR guys, and so doing event television. And then the guy that was doing that just asked me, "Hey, you want to do a series?" So we said, yeah, let's do it. And so that's how I kind of got into it. And then how it's changed is ridiculous. And really, it comes down to the technology
Yeah.
has changed so dramatically when you have GoPros and
Yeah.
all these cameras and drones. And I mean, we used to, hire a helicopter, pilot a helicopter and get out there and do aerial shots. And that's really expensive. Now you just send up a drone, you get everything
Oh,
you
yeah.
want. You're running shot, you can follow anywhere you want. We'd be doing running shots where you were worried that you were hitting each other, and trying to get. I mean, it was crazy and scary, and so yeah, it's changed a lot dramatically. I'd say it's a lot easier to film on nowadays. But at the same time, the network stuff is kind of disappearing. It's like everybody wants it on YouTube, or they want it where
Yeah.
they can watch it right now. They don't want to
Yeah.
have a schedule where we turn it on Saturday mornings. They want to be able to do whatever they want on Saturday morning, turn it on whenever they want to watch it. So it's the cell phones have changed that and changed the dynamic of television. So a lot harder to make a living in it, too, especially considering we went to this downturn, last 4 years type thing where, everything got so expensive. And so, yeah, it just made it a much, much harder industry to do well in.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember when I first started fishing FLW, they actually used to have helicopters at the FLW events to film the overhead footage. And to think now, no more helicopters, so much easier. They just run drones around the lake, and you actually get so much better footage from drones, and it's so much easier and probably so much cheaper too to run a drone than it is a helicopter. So that kind of goes to show you right then how the times have changed, with the technology, with drones, even not only with television but with the tournaments as well.
Yes.
Going from helicopters in the sky to drones, so it's pretty cool. But that's awesome. Let's move forward to this year, man. This past July, you fished really your last tournament as a full-time touring pro at the St. Lawrence River, announcing your retirement. Man, going into St. Lawrence, what was your emotions like? Going into that event, knowing, this is it. Now I do know you had set a time or two that you might do some one-offs, in the future as far as professional tournaments. But as far as a full-time touring pro, you're completely retired now. What was the emotions like going into that tournament?
Well, I knew it was coming. I knew, it was something that I had really thought about for a year or two, and kept putting it off because you love it so much, and I still love it. And so it was very, it was one of those where you weren't sure whether you wanted to retire or not. And then, of course, I had a great tournament. I was in fourth going into the final day.
Wow.
And with an opportunity to do, quite well. I wouldn't say you had an opportunity to win because, man, guy was way out in front of everybody. So Johnson, they're just incredible.
Oh, yeah.
And both of them. But anyway, so yeah, I mean, I was just loving it and having a great time. And of course, New York's one of my favorite places to fish in my entire career. Is one of those places where I just go, wow, I can't wait to get up there. I can't wait to get back. And so, to finish it on a high note and to finish it, in one of the most beautiful places in the world you could fish was really special. And they did a great send off, MLF did. So
Yeah.
I mean, it was going into it. I was like, this is going to be sad, but who knows if I'll ever get back. And so I'm going to enjoy every moment of fishing up here. And, my plan is to go back again, next year in June, head back up there and have some fun and just catch a bunch of smallmouth and hope fish up there, whether it's
Yeah.
a Toyota series or something like that. There's a real good, the used to be the Tackle Warehouse. Now I think it's called the Pro Circuit. Opens up in Harris Chain here in February. But
Right.
it's like, we might be so busy doing what I'm doing now that I don't know that I have time.
Now you bring up having time for what you're doing right now and everything. Talking to Kevin Van Dam a few times. He's mentioned to me that he's actually busier now than he was when he was competing on tour for what he's doing with the industry. So with that being said, man, are you still going to be active in the industry with other avenues? As far as how busy are you going to be activity-wise in the industry?
I'll be as busy as they want me to be, as my sponsors do, and whether it's a boat sponsor doing test drives, whether it's working the classic and working the Red Crest, and fishing a tournament here or there, but I'm not going to fish as many tournaments as I am doing promotions and sport shows and things like that. So, I'll still be at the main events and ICAST and everything, and then, then wherever they need me. So if they need me to be at a dealership, a grand opening, or things like that, then that's absolutely, part of what I'll be doing.
That's awesome, man. Gator hunting. We all know how much you're into gator hunting. We all know the funny, crazy. I say funny stories, but to me, a lot of the funny stories is dangerous as heck. Do you have any recent funny gator stories you can tell us or share with us?
I have a bunch. The other day we went to a call, and what's really great about being a nuisance gator trapper is that we're doing a service. So the person has a gator that's in his yard or in his little pond, and he's chasing his dogs. Or one we got the other day ate the guy's cat. Another one ate her dog. And so it's really sad when you lose your pet. That's part of your family. And so they love for us to come there and get the gators out of there. And sometimes it's just a gator at the front door or a gator at the under their car, and we've had them everywhere in any type of situation, and it's great. But we had a call the other day where the guy said it's a pretty good sized gator, so we figured there's maybe an 8-footer, which is okay. Big gators are over 10. Those are big gators.
Yes.
And so I got to the guy's house, and I walk up. I'm letting him lead me through where he saw it and all this. And he said he's on the stairs. So his beautiful house had stairs leading down to his manicured pond that was gorgeous and clean, and just it's one of these places with a fountain in the middle. And anyway, he looks through the hedge and he goes, "Oh yeah, he's still there," and he just backs up, and I'm like, "Well, I got to look at this thing." So I stepped through the hedge and I went, "Oh yeah, that's a good one." and I tell my grandson, I said, "We're going to have a battle with this one." So we figured it out, and we rod and reel. We take those Ludes musky rods with a 80-pound, 100-pound Seaguar braid, and we hook him up on a little 3/0 trocar hook, and then he's fighting us down the pond, and he gets into the deepest part of it, and we battle him back and forth and back and forth. We get 2 hooks into him, so finally we bring him up, and I slip a lasso on him, and I probably did it a little early. He was still pretty green, and when he took off, and I posted this on my social on Instagram and Facebook, but when he took off, when I slipped that lasso over him, he took off. He almost drugged me in the water. I was about to go swimming with him or learn to water ski behind the gator. he grabbed me in there, and I yelled for my grandson. Grandson threw the rods down and grabbed the rope with me. We held on. Anyway, we did capture him and drag him, and he was 10 foot 4 inches, and he was a big old gator. I mean, just a lot of weight, and it's just we live for those days, yeah, it's just Lucas. Lucas Black is Lucas. I said, that is the perfect shirt for what I do. That's we do dangerous things carefully. So we do it where it's as careful as possible. We try not to make any mistakes, because if you make a mistake, you can lose an arm.
Oh yeah.
You can lose a finger. You can be in serious shape.
Yeah.
And so when I jump on them, I make sure they're tired as can be, and we really have a system that has been tested and works really well, and it's just a lot of fun. So yeah, I got 3 on Saturday, and then we haven't got any since, because it's been cold, like you've had, cold and rainy and all that.
Yeah.
And so it's just got sunshiny today, so probably have a gator call today, and be having some fun chasing another one.
Yeah. Now, are you still catching poisonous snake? I told Tanya the story about you bringing that rattlesnake in, putting it on the kitchen counter, forgetting about it, and then Polly getting home and coming in and scaring the bejesus out of her. I told Tanya that story, and Tanya told me, she says, man, Polly must be a really sweet girl, because if that ever happened to her and I'd done something like that, I'd probably be 6 feet below the ground right now.
That was an odd one. I should have warned her on that one. Anyway, yeah, if I have the opportunity, I still do. I still keep my state stick around, but it's more gators right now. I know sometime one of my bucket lists is to go down to Miami to South Florida and do the python. I'd like to grab one of those bigger. I saw one that yesterday or something that came in that somebody got like a 17-footer, huge snake. So that's pretty cool.
They got a lot. Yeah, they got a lot of them pythons down there too. It's almost like they're overtaking everything down there. There's so many of them.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, Sean, man, it's been fun. Before we close out on this podcast, I'm going to read off some of your career stats, and there's probably more to it, but I'm going to read off what I have right here, man. 16 classic appearances, 9 first place finishes, 10 seconds, 5 thirds, 60 times you made the top 10 final day cut, 98 top 20s, and 130 top 30s in an over 41-year career. Man, all I could say to that is wow. And you have done that while being one of the most well-liked, most respected anglers on and off the water, man. And knowing you as long as I have, Shaw, I know that probably means more to you than any of your fishing accomplishments that you could have got on the water, dude. You've been a class act. You've always been, one of the best persons to go up and talk to, man. And wishing you the best on, from here on out, dude, because you deserve everything you've got and everything you got coming to you from now till whenever. So, dude, you're one of the best that has ever done it.
Well, I appreciate it. I was very blessed. And back in 1990, I accepted Jesus Christ, and that's kind of propelled my life since then. And that's the biggest accomplishment I have in life is my relationship with Jesus Christ. So, yes, thank you, Norman. I appreciate it, buddy, and I look forward to running into you soon.
Yes, sir, and I'll look forward to seeing you. I'll be at Red Crest and the Classic doing the media thing, so I look forward to seeing you at those 2 events as well, man. Give Polly my best too, and Shaw, it's always a pleasure to be able to sit back, kick it, and tell some stories and talk to you, man. And I appreciate your time today.
All right, take care.
All right, thanks, Shaw. Bye now.
Bye.
Thanks for watching this week's episode of On the Mic with our guest, Shaw Grigsby. Also, subscribe to our YouTube channel and make sure to follow us on Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram at Norman Lee Fishing. This has been an NLF production.